Hi, it's Sarah from Wild Ivy. If you're watching this video, you've obviously bought one of our lovely wreath making kits to make at home. I hope you sat comfortably. I hope you've got a nice glass of something warm, preferably mulled wine, and some nice music going on in the background. It's just me in the shop, no music, but I have got a stash of chocolates. So hopefully we'll be able to make a start. I'm going to go through the process step by step, so that you've got lots of reference material for when it comes to making your own, and obviously you can rewind and watch it again and things like that. So I'll make a start. So hopefully you've unpacked your kit and had a good look through. Obviously the piece we're starting with is the moss base. It should still be nice and damp if you've kept it wrapped in the cellophane. Hope you have. What I've got is a nice selection of foliage. I'll just sort of show you bits, a piece at a time. Got some nice long leafy grevillea that we use in the shop, and I've got some larch twigs here. I'll just extract one. There, you can see that, because I rather like the wild look. It's just my style. But if you don't want to use anything quite as big and wild as that, you can just keep it neater and more compact. Got a couple of different types of spruce here. So these are your nice big evergreen trees that you'll find in the gardens or out in the woods. I've managed to find some holly with some berries on, which will look absolutely beautiful, very prickly but very, very lovely. And some ivy. And this, I always pick the bit with the berries on, wild ivy obviously, because I just rather like the look of the berries. I think they look like little sparklers in the wreath. So that's those, and just got some eucalyptus, which I haven't picked up yet. Wait 1 moment. Here we go, eucalyptus. So obviously we buy this in the shop. I think like you might have some in the garden. You might be looking to have a eucalyptus tree, but I don't, so we buy it in from the shop. So reel of wire. What we do is just start by securing the wire onto the moss base. So you're just giving it wind round a couple of times and pulling it tight after you've gone round, and that just gives you a starting point. That's it. Give it a good pull. It won't snap and it won't damage the base. And then the basic principle for the whole wreath is just to make little bunches of foliage, mixed foliage, that you're then going to layer up as you work around the wreath. Now you always work in the same direction. And I work clockwise. It's just the way my brain works. So all you're doing is just gathering a few little bits and pieces together to make a little bunch. The heavier foliage, like the Christmas tree foliage, goes at the bottom, and then anything lighter or more delicate or textured generally goes on top. Otherwise it'll be hidden by the Christmas tree type greenery, technical term. So there we are, that's my first little bunch. So you want it to be about that big. You don't want it too big, you don't want it too small, but you'll get a measure of it once you start. So all you're doing is laying it onto your base. And then my first one is I'm going to lay it on like that, and so pointing slightly outwards. And then where the base of the foliage is, that's where you wrap your wire around to secure it. So you're just going round once, twice, and that's probably enough. And then again, just give it a good pull to tighten it. So that's your first one. I'll just make another bunch up. So they don't all have to match. You can add some bits into some bunches and just vary it as you're going around. With the Christmas tree, what I'm doing is I'm just stripping those lower needles off where the wire is going to go. That just gives you a clean stem to work with, and it just means that your wire will have a better purchase, a better grip when you're working your way around. So again, just a nice little mix, maybe a little bit of eucalyptus in this one. You've got your sharp scissors. They don't need to be giant secateurs, well, they might do if you've got big branches. So there we are, just a little bunch. And then this one, I'm just going to lift the wreath base up. So whereas that one's pointing outwards, this one's going to point inwards slightly. So you can see that one points this way, that one's going that way, and then the next one lower down will come up that way. And that just means that you get a nice even shape and coverage on the wreath base as you're working your way around. And then the bits that are pointing towards the inside, if you make them too big, it might fill in the gap in the middle. So just, you know, if you don't mind that, it's fine. But if you want to keep that sort of hole in the middle quite defined, then don't put too much in. I'm just going to do a few more, just so that you can watch and see that you've got the hang of it. I do like this larch. So larch is a conifer that loses its needles in the winter, so it's not an evergreen, but it is very beautiful. There's lots of it in, well, Beacon Edge and any other woods that you might spot. Obviously, that's a good point. If you're foraging, which you are allowed to do, but don't take too much from the same place. Don't strip the tree and leave nothing for anybody else or for the birds, or just moderation is key. And just a bit of ivy, I think. So if you've got nice nails, well done you. You probably won't have by the end of this session. It's not kind on your nails. So I'm just going to pop a bit of holly in here. I haven't got masses of it, so what I'm going to do is just ration myself as I go around the wreath, and just use it at key points as I'm working my way around. Otherwise you might end up with it all clumped up at one side and then not have any on the other side, and it'll look a bit uneven. So you're just generally aiming for a nice balanced look with all your foliage, just to give it a bit of balance for the eye. You can just trim off any straggly bits at the bottom, and if you just make the bottom of the bunch quite neat, and then it just helps keep its shape. Just wind this and then I'll hold it up for you and you can see how we're getting on. So I think that's 4 bunches that we've done so far, isn't it? So going each way, so you can see it's starting to take shape. It's got nice. I like the texture and the wildness extending out from the wreath, keeping it quite neat on the inside. What I'm going to do now in true Blue Peter style, or not Blue Peter style, is just pause the video, finish it off, and then come back to you when I've fully greened up the base. Okay, thank you. Hi, so here we are. I've finished going around the wreath. I'll just step back so you can see it. So it's gone all the way around. I've tried to include a nice balance as I go around with the holly and the larch and the eucalyptus just coming around the edges, so it doesn't look too heavy on one side or the other. So hopefully you've got that far and you're happy with yours. In terms of the foliage, I meant to say earlier, you can just go out in the garden or in the woods and just see what looks good still. So if you've got some herbs like rosemary or bay, that works really well. If you've got cinerea, which we use as a bedding plant, Dusty Miller's its other name, so it's like a silvery soft foliage, that works really well. It dries nicely and it gives it a nice colour. You could use more blue spruces and eucalyptus to give it like a silvery blue feel. You could use pussy willow, catkins, literally anything that you go out and you think, oh, that looks nice, I'm going to give that a go. If it's still got some colour in it at this time of year, then it's almost certainly going to hold up well. I'll just show you the back, just so that hopefully yours looks the same. I'll just put that one back through. So you've still got your moss base showing at the back. This bit's important for the next stage when you're inserting all the dried bits. You're going to need to be able to access that bit. So the next step is just to work out where you want the top and the bottom. You need to get one of your stem wires, the long thin wires like that, and you're just going to make a hoop at the back. So it might matter where you put the hoop, and it might not if it's got a good balance. So to do the hoop, you just, when you look at the back, can you see the copper ring? It will just be showing here. So you're just going to attach your stem wire onto the copper ring by making a hoop, any which way you like really. There's no right and wrong way, just as long as it makes a secure hoop. And that's the bit that's going to hang on your door. So you can twist it or tie a knot, whichever you find easiest. and then any ends that you've got, any sharp ends, just tuck them in, poke them into the moss so that they don't stick out and scratch the door. You don't have to make this for the door. You could obviously make it for your table, Christmas table. It would look really lovely. If you think about putting a nice pillar church candle in the middle there, laying it flat and popping a church candle in, that'll look really stunning. So you could be impressing all your, well, I say guests, maybe not guests, family. With lockdown, we don't know, do we? So there you go, just put a hook on the back there, and that just tells me where the top is when I'm putting the decorations on. So the next thing to do is to wire up your decoration. So I'll just pop that to one side. So the technique is basically the same, but just slightly different for each of the dried pieces that you've got. So you've got some pine cones and holly and oranges and apple slices and cinnamon. You can add to this if you like. You can, you know, get yourself out and see if there's anything else that you like the look of. Feathers look really pretty. You could go for some sparkly baubles or any decorations like that. Reds and golds, excuse me, would look really nice. Just anything that catches your eye, really. So you can add to it. So I'm starting without explaining. So you've got your pine cone. It's open at the top and towards the bottom it's closed. You're going to get your stem wire and wrap the top part of the wire around the base of the cone, just above where it's closed. So it's going into the open sections like that, and you're making like an old-fashioned hairpin like that, and then just twisting those like that, so that it's nice and secure. It's not going to fall off. And if it's a bit loose, just twist it a bit more and tighten it up. And there you go. I'll let you practice that. So that's that one. The orange slices, I tend to group them. I just think they look nicer. It doesn't look quite as bitty. So you're just putting them in a group. Poke the stem wire through the flesh. Again, you've got a long end and a short end, and you're just turning those over like that and twisting. So that they're nice and secure like that. And then the lotus, this is really lovely. It's a seed head, dried seed head of the lotus flower. For this one, you're going to insert the stem wire from side to side. So it goes in one end, comes out the other, and again you've got a long end and a short end, and you just pull those up together at the back and twist. Like that. Shake your hands. And then the last one, oh no, not the last one, apple slices. So again, group those together. The wire goes through the flesh. So you've got your long end and your short end. Squeeze them together and twist. Like that. And then the last one is the cinnamon sticks. So I tend to put them in little bunches of 3 like that. Just get a little bit of ribbon or raffia. I've put different bits in the kit for you to use. Just wrap the raffia around a couple of times. You could use string, or you could use something, if you've got a colour theme going on, you could use something different than coloured ribbon. And just wrap the raffia around a couple of times, tighten a knot so it's nice and tight, because they can slip a little bit. So you've done it nice and tight, and then just snip off the long bits like that, and then take your light stem wire and just at the, that's going to be your front, and then at the back you just put the wire through the raffia like that and twist. I've put lots of these stem wires in the kit. Just if you make a mistake and you need to start again, it's easier just to start again with a new wire, to be honest. They're not really that easy to reuse. So there you go. So if you get everything wired up before you start this bit, and then you can just crack on, it's easier. You don't need to crack on, you're doing it at a nice slow pace with a glass of mulled wine. So just going back to where the top is. Yeah, that's my top. So I'm just going to start by adding the decorations. I've got the rest of mine all wired up, so I'm just going to start by adding them in. So I'll start with a pine cone. The way you do it is you take the wire and you find the moss base and you poke it right through, so it goes in there and it comes out at the back. So that's it. So it's come out, it's gone right in and it's come out at the back. And the way you secure it is you can just loop it round. You can either push it back into the moss or you can loop it around the frame. So I've looped it round, I've still got quite a long bit there left. So I'm just gonna snip that off and just tuck that in. And you can see there that the pine cone, it's tucked in nicely. It's not sort of sat on top of the foliage. I've nestled it in amongst the greenery. And I'm just going to do that all the way around now. I'm just going to work out where to place. I'm going to place like the pine cones and the lotus heads first, just because they're the bigger pieces and they're sort of darker and heavier looking. So I'm just going to pop those in, and then I'll do the fruit and the cinnamon sticks. With the ribbon, it's a good idea to think about now where you want to put the ribbon. I tend to prefer to put them at the bottom, but you can hang it at the top if you like. So if you are going to, wherever you're going to hang it, whether it's at the top or the bottom, you need to think about leaving a little bit of a space for it to sit so that it's not squashed in. And with the pine cones or any of it, you can group them. Like it does look nice if you have things in little groups, instead of just dotting them all singly around. You can see it looks nice like that. And then you could perhaps add in a little bit of fruit into that cluster there, like that. So I'm just going to carry on with that, and I'll come back to you. Here we go. So that's my finished wreath. Just step back a little bit for you. I've gone all the way around. I've used lots of the dried decorations. I haven't actually used everything because it looked pretty full, and I wanted to leave quite a bit of the greenery showing. So I've attached the ribbon at the base, using the same technique of poking the wire through and just securing it at the back. And it's ready to hang on the door. So in terms of looking after it, if you just keep it misted, so that the foliage stays moist, and then it'll just last longer towards Christmas, and obviously try and keep the dried decorations that bit drier. So there you go. Happy Christmas. I hope you have a lovely time making it. Thank you so much. Bye now.